In this video, I want to give you a little introduction to M0 from the developer's point of view, to show you some of the things you can do and how you can monetize your code and a few other things. So I have it set up here where I have Slack on the left and then I have M0 code on the right. And just a couple comments. The M0 platform can be used from any environment, and whatever code you write, you can invoke it from any programming language and in any environment. But we've built first-class Slack integration, and it just makes it a lot easier to see everything and to do experimentation and to see how the whole system works by using M0 for Slack. So that's what I'm going to be using here in the demo. So as a new user, the first thing you would do is attach a ledger to Slack from M0 code. A little bit later in this video, I'll be attaching another ledger to show you some things about smart contracts, so you'll see how to attach a ledger there. So I'll just step you through a method quickly here to show you how to invoke methods in the M0 platform and how easy it is to do it. And there's various ways to trigger things from Slack. The easiest way is through the command line. So I'll go to the messages tab. As you can see, I've been doing quite a few things here. But I'll invoke this interact method, and this method displays a Slack modal, and you can see that I have breakpoints here. This is for the case where I submitted, and this is for the case where I cancel. So it'll show you some of the features of the debugger at the same time here. So I'll invoke this. There's a debug command in M0, and so I would just say M0 debug, and I give it the name of the method, and then I tell it what template it's coming from. And it's displaying the modal that I'm constructing here, and the code is sitting here right now. So I'll cancel this, and it should hit this breakpoint. And it does. So that's one of the really nice features of the M0 code, is you can set breakpoints and you get live feedback. So here I'm setting the breakpoint and I'm telling it what I want to display on the right. So it's displaying a submission, which showed me that the user just closed the modal without doing anything with it. So let me just end this. So I'll show you a couple things real quickly about how to use M0 incidents. If we go to the messages tab, we have access to the command line, and we can start using some M0 commands to do some things with M0 incidents, the little app that we wrote. So there's quite a number of commands, but the first command that you'll probably use is the debug command. It's just used to invoke one of your methods. So in M0, the main container for your code are called templates. They're like classes in other programming languages, and then there's methods inside each template. And the code is written in JavaScript. Encapsulating the code like this is important for monetization, because all templates are attached to the ledger that created them. You can see we display it here to the left of the template drop down. And so when code gets executed inside M0 platform, it's owned, and we know who wrote the code and how to do the proper accounting. So I've already started M0 incidents, and this is the start method. And you can just briefly, you can see how easy it is to set up a GraphQL database. This method is setting up and creating a GraphQL database, and it's 47 lines of code. So you give it the format of your GraphQL database with some initialization data that you want to put in it. So here we just have 3 types: user, incident, and comments. And we're putting in just one record for each one of those. And the structure of the GraphQL database is inferred from the data and the types of the data. And you can create foreign keys or links between your types with special formatted keys. It's all explained in the documentation. So I'll create an incident. That's done by invoking the create method. So let's do it. I'll use the debug command, M0 debug, and give the name of the method and the template that it's coming from. So we just display a simple modal. You can see that's what the create method is doing here. It's making the modal, and here it's displaying the modal. And now it's sitting right here waiting for the reply, and then it will continue after that. So I'll just put in some data. Submit that. We can see it completed successfully. It says incident created, and this was the output of this method. So now I'll list my incidents. There's a query open method. So there's the incidents that I have, and you can see we're constructing a Slack message that has some interactions on it. I can add a comment to one or close it. So let me do that. I'll comment on this one. So the comment was added, and I want to list my incidents again, and I'm going to create a shortcut for this just to show you how those work. So you can save a lot of typing by creating shortcuts. So create the ampersand is the shortcut indicator. So I'll call it QInc query incidents. And that's the command I want to execute when I enter that shortcut. So now when I want to list these, all I have to do is type in M0 and ampersand QInc. And there it shows me my shortcuts, and you can see it shows the comment that I added than the first one here. So now I'll go back to the home, and you could see that my gas has been going down as I've been doing all these things, and also my account has gone up, and the reason is that for the gas going down is everything that you do has a gas charge, so that will constantly be draining, and you'll also be getting credited for any of your methods that get executed. So I own all of these methods, so I'm getting some of the gas charge. One of the things I alluded to earlier is that the code that you write with M0 it's general, and it can be used from any programming language and multiple environments. Obviously, in this case, some of the things that we're doing with M0 incidents are Slack dependent. We're constructing UI specifically for Slack. We're basically using Slack as our UI for this application. But I could write another version of these methods that get invoked via an API, for example. So, for instance, the query open, I could create another method called query open API, and inside that one, I wouldn't do any of these Slack specific things. I would just query the GraphQL database and return the data. The protocol that we use is called the Web Application Message Protocol, and it's an open protocol, and it's you can find more information here. This is probably the best place to find information about it if you haven't heard of it. So we have a WAMP router running, which anyone can connect to, and you connect to it basically by signing a message with one of your ledgers. M0 code does that for you, but we have a client that shows you how to do that, and you can use any WAMP client to connect. We have a TypeScript one that's more specialized for us, but you could use any client, and there's clients for virtually every programming language. So you can invoke anything that you write in the M0 platform through this protocol. So that's how you, as a developer, can make money with M0. You can build onto the platform, and anybody will be able to connect and use your code, and when they do, you're going to get credited for the execution of your code. There's a few ways that happens. One is through the gas, and we have sort of automated gas charges, but you can also, one of the functions that you can use is called add gas, so you can add an additional gas charge onto any of your methods. So that's one way to collect more fees. And another way is something we have called endpoints, and that's a way to, everything you're building in M0 code is sort of built into the platform, and we're managing all of this code for you. But you can also build things that are completely external that we have no idea or don't know about any of your implementation details. It's totally private, and that's through what we call endpoints. And we have a couple examples here on how to use those. But you basically can make an endpoint that can do anything, and you run it on your own server infrastructure, however you want, and anybody can invoke it through the M0 platform. And when they do, you can you can tell us how much gas you want to charge for those methods as well. One of the great features of WAMP is that both ends of a communication channel are disconnected. So theoretically, you could write an endpoint that's running from your local computer. You don't have to even expose a web server on the internet. You connect to the WAMP router using any programming language, and the WAMP router does its thing. And the M0 platform is sitting in the middle of all these things, making sure that you get paid for the execution of your code. So I think this video has run on long enough. Thanks for watching, and keep an eye out for new videos. Thanks.